Om Agyanatvinandasya Garanjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stabitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharne Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Satarne Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'd like to thank you all for coming, and I'd like to thank the organizers, especially Rajasundari and David Devidas for organizing this Vyasa Puja, and of course Avangalata Mataji for doing so much service and work. And she's one of my teachers. From her I learned many things. And for Anantapuru and all the others who have assisted, and especially all of you who have patiently sat here and stood up for only a couple of seconds. So, actually Krishna is in all our hearts, that we're all instruments for Krishna. We have sometimes we're instruments for Krishna, sometimes we forget Krishna. But in any case, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we have this opportunity, somehow or another, at least some part of our lives, engage in Krishna service now, and that will increase if we are sincere and we try a little bit. Krishna will reciprocate and help us discover what is Krishna consciousness. At first, it's a theory that we're all eternal, and that we're full of knowledge, consciousness, and we're all blissful. And that may not be experienced to the largest extent that we'd like it to be, but this process will gradually reveal it to us. Sometimes we think that Krishna is a all-controlling personality, and therefore we reflect our own consciousness upon Krishna. But Krishna is just an ocean of mercy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all his pure followers. In this temple we have the Panchatattva, and they're simply there. They didn't come to Ljubljana because they liked the weather. They simply came out of their mercy. And although we may not realize it, that this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the same Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who came 500 years ago and manifested his pastimes, either in Navadvip or in Jagannath Puri, same personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, Chaitanya, Radha, Krishna, Nahiyanya, the same combined form of Srimati Radharani and Krishna, are actually in the temple right now. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada never really left. He's also here. He also patiently listens to the offerings. I don't know if he got up or not, but he seems perfectly comfortable every time I look at him sitting on the Vyasa. In any case, they're here for us, and if we just follow their instructions, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made it as simple as possible. He's asked us to chant Hare Krishna, and we're doing that, we're trying to do that, calling out to Srimati Radharani and Krishna, and perhaps sometimes remembering them. But to have something to remember, Srila Prabhupada has given us these books, so that if Krishna enters into our heart, we'll know who entered into our heart, we'll know what he looks like. And of course, also we have the deity worship, because without the deities, then we wouldn't have anyone to serve. So And they're all merciful. They're simply here for us. It's inconceivable that Lord Nityananda, the source of all incarnations, is here. Advaita Acharya, the combined form of Mahavishnu, the creator of all the universes, has come to Ljubljana. And of course, Gadadhar Pandit, the internal energy of Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani herself, has come here, along with Vyasa Narada Muni, who has unlimited disciples all over the universe, and he's also come here to help us. So we can understand fully the great mercy that we have, the great opportunities that we have. But if we patiently read Prabhupada's books, not with the attitude that we heard it before, but if we heard it even, we can only gradually learn how to hear. And we can only gradually learn to become encouraged to hear also. So if we're not always so enthusiastic about hearing or chanting or serving, we should understand that this is also one of the effects of Krishna's energy. He has the illusory energy, the material energy, and this is to make us humble, because otherwise, if devotional service is so simple, so easy, then we think that we're much greater than we actually are. And we take devotional service very cheaply. So Krishna makes it somewhat difficult, just so we can take it more seriously, so that we can appreciate him. Because actually the whole thing, our whole existence is simply a reciprocation with Lord Krishna and with Srimati Radharani and with all his expansions. But ultimately it's Krishna is simply helping us, this super soul within our heart, teaching us within and without how to become a better servant of him, Srimati Radharani, and all his expansions and energies. Therefore, we simply follow this process, and Krishna will help us. Tadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. He'll give us more and more intelligence, so that gradually, not only intellectually we'll understand Krishna consciousness, but it will actually become a feeling. It'll be becoming an experience of love. The only actual source of love is the relation, the original source of love is the relation between Srimati Radharani and Krishna. And without connecting to that original source, of course, their love is expanded to all their pure devotees and to all of us also. One time I wrote to Srila Prabhupada and I sent him a contribution for his book fund. And Srila Prabhupada said, "Thank you very much for this contribution of love." So that was quite surprising to me, because I never sent money to anyone, usually out of love. But that's best it was duty. But Prabhupada took it as a contribution of love. So we should be assured that whatever service we're doing, Krishna is noting down and helping us gradually progress. And although it may seem like a very gradual progress, but that's our conception of time and the illusory energy. There's two types of time: the time we're experiencing right now and the real time. Real time is if we look back and we think about how, when I was a little baby, if you can remember that, and think about how long it took to become here and now, it wasn't a very long time. Time goes very, very quickly. So similarly, if we just try to make a little progress every day, then Krishna will reciprocate. And gradually, when we hear the holy name, we'll actually be able to feel Krishna's presence. And feeling Krishna's presence means that first we'll feel some transcendental pleasure, and then when we actually go deeper into feeling their presence, we'll actually understand what love actually is. And Krishna actually loves everyone and everything as we love ourselves, so there's nothing different from Krishna. So he loves everyone more than he loves his own self. So to get a little experience of Krishna's love, and Srimati Radharani's love, then we'll actually become satisfied. We'll actually understand what we're trying to do here. It's not just rituals and austerity and a little prasadam. It's actually an attempt to find real happiness through real love, and that will be experienced. It's different from the love in the material world, and therefore it can't be guessed or imagined, because it can be experienced, and it will be experienced eventually by anyone who follows this path. And then we'll understand that we have a little love of Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and even their servants, when they're reflecting, when they're manifesting, when they're transparent medias for the love of Srimati Radharani and Krishna and their pure devotees, then we manifest the same amount of experience and love that they have for each other and for everyone. So my suggestion is just stay on the path. It's a simple thing. We're not asked to stand on our heads. And if you do that, you might hurt your neck anyhow, so. We're not asked to do any great austerity. Of course, sometimes it appears to be austere. Sometimes we're put into, as Julia Nyatra Mataji said, sometimes we're put into great difficulty. In Kali Yuga, to understand simultaneously how everyone is exactly getting what they deserve, and at the same time have some compassion that whatever we deserve is actually positive, because it's all meant to help us take shelter of Krishna. So when we see people suffering, we shouldn't, as Krishna told Arjuna, that don't lament the fact that you're in suffering, but at the same time become Krishna conscious. In other words, when we see people suffering, we try to help them, but especially we try to help them understand why they're suffering and how they can transcend suffering by becoming Krishna conscious. We cannot stop all the suffering going on in the material world. We can try to help people understand how to protect the cows, how to protect the bull, how to take up the process of Krishna consciousness, how to create an actual civilization, at least in their own lives, how to follow the principles, and then add Krishna consciousness to it under any circumstance. Then Krishna will be happy. They'll make some progress in Krishna consciousness. And although it's not possible to completely focus our mind all at once on Krishna and completely dedicate our energies completely to Krishna's service, but the more we serve, the more Krishna will reciprocate with us and encourage us to do more service. As Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, now we're chanting Hare Krishna. Hopefully we're all chanting, those who are initiated especially, at least 16 rounds a day. And it's not easy. 16 rounds of the holy name. It's like they have boxing. 16 rounds, boxing. So generally we notice sometimes in the first round the devotees are chanting, Maya comes and knocks them out. 1, 2. So hopefully we're going 16 rounds with the holy name. We may not be the world champion, but we're trying. But if we make some effort, then Krishna will reciprocate. It's not that the mind won't wander sometimes, it's that sometimes our minds will actually remember Krishna. We'll say, well, Krishna, where did you come from? I didn't expect you here during the japa. But if we do experience Krishna a little bit, that will encourage us to understand how nice he is, how sweet he is. And that will encourage us to try to focus again. And of course, if we try to focus again on the holy name, Maya will come and say, well, this is really difficult. Why don't you relax? You got enough bliss for today. You're empowered. So it's a fight. Maya will always try to trick us in so many different ways. But we should try to get some good association, some determination to go forward, because that's all it's all about, is our own personal determination to go forward and try to make some improvement in Krishna consciousness. And if Krishna sees that desire to make some improvement, then Krishna will reciprocate and reveal himself to us a little bit in different ways, either through the deities. We can look at the deities and say, oh, there's the Panchatattva, they look, nice dress. And then one day we'll understand, wow, it's the Panchatattva. God, where did you guys come from? So that's Krishna consciousness, it's the same thing. And then one day we'll actually understand what actually we're doing. One day we'll wake up, we'll look at the picture and say, hey, that's a nice picture. And we'll be able to hear them, hey, that's a nice devotee. They're there, they're watching us. He's in our hearts since time immemorial, he's watching us. And they will reciprocate when we make an effort. And they will, and then therefore we'll become encouraged to go on with the process. And then gradually it'll be accepted. The holy name is Krishna. Krishna is in my heart. The deities are there. These books of perfect knowledge, how to become, exactly what we want. Have a love affair with the most wonderful people. Love affair with Krishna, who's inconceivably wonderful. Srimati Radharani, who is equally, if not more inconceivably wonderful. And everyone else who are serving them who are equally inconceivable and wonderful. So that will be experienced by us gradually, step by step, and then our lives will become perfect in any circumstance. So this is all going on by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is an actual pure devotee who has fully understood everything, and he's on the same level as the Panchatattva of mercy. And all we can do is try to read his instructions and try to follow them to the best of our ability. And if we try to follow them, then as the process goes, hearing, then try to assimilate the knowledge, try to understand it, and try to apply it so that Krishna gives us the realization of what it is, versus an intellectual understanding, then an attempt to apply it, however perfectly or imperfectly we can, and then Krishna becomes, his heart softens, and he gives us the realization, so we can actually experience what the knowledge is. Then we'll be able to understand that Srila Prabhupada and the deities and even his representatives, everyone who's approaching us in our lives has been sent by Krishna perfectly to help us advance towards love of God, love for Krishna and his devotees. Every moment is a great opportunity to make advancement. There's no problems in this world. There's only lack of understanding of how to deal with what we think are problems. And that everyone that we're associating with, everyone we see or hear about, whatever, is an opportunity to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. In the mood of service, in the spiritual world, everyone is excited at every moment to serve each other, because they know that's Krishna's greatest happiness, is when he sees the devotees serving each other. And the devotees are excited to see Krishna happy, and therefore they live for that eternally. So this is our Krishna consciousness movement. And although it appears that we're in the midst of Kali Yuga, but actually we're in the midst of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy right now. We're not in Kali Yuga anymore. We're in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, which is the highest manifestation of mercy that's possible in this material universe eternally. So we're greatly fortunate. If we follow the process, then gradually that fortune will be revealed to us, and we'll understand that upon gaining this, there can't be any greater gain. That happiness, sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrayam etendriyam. Upon gaining this, one thinks that there is no greater gain. And even in the midst of the greatest difficulty, one will not be disturbed one will always be blissfully happy and enthusiastic to serve the loving mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his eternal associates. Thank you. Hare Krishna.